So one of the things that I hear most often from quilt makers is that the size of their blocks do not turn out right. I think someone must post this every single day in our community. So my friend, I am going to tell you today how you get to fix that. So this is my fireside chat. I'm Pat Sloan. Thank you for being here. So we're going to start out talking about block size. Yes, it's something that's important because first let me just say that the block size, unless you're sort of designing your own layout, the block size in your pattern needs to be that size. Often people will say, oh, it doesn't matter if they're all the same size, but it can matter because the layout that you're going to attach it to, it's like a puzzle. It has a size and your block is a unit in the layout of the puzzle. And if your block is too small or too big, it's not going to fit in the hole properly. And so you would have to redraft the entire layout if your blocks are the wrong size. So first, blocks are often, you will see, most of the time you will see the block size before it goes in the quilt. So a 12.5 by 12.5 means in the quilt it's 12 by 12. So you rarely see a block that it's finished, that its size before it goes in the quilt is 12-inch square. That would mean it's 11.5 by 11.5 in the quilt, in the layout. And that's not normal. So you want to think quilt math. So quilt math is the whole number 12 plus a 1/4 inch plus a 1/4 inch on either side, which is what? Ding, 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 ding. 12.5. 12 plus a 1/4 inch plus another 1/4 inch is 12.5. So that's what you're going for. So the big thing is to measure. There's probably like 3 things that can cause your block to be the wrong size. One of them is cutting the shapes the wrong size to start with. So if you read the directions but you maybe misread it or didn't line up on your ruler right and you cut it wrong. But I tell you what, friend, that's usually not the problem. You guys are really good at cutting your fabric. Rarely are you cutting your fabric wrong. It happens. You're particularly in a class, where everybody's chatting or maybe you're watching something or listening to something and you're not really quite paying attention. So do check the size of your piece. But the other 2 things are really where your problem normally happens. And what happens is it happens once and then you do it again and again and again. And as you build the block, you make it worse and worse and worse. So the thing is you want to catch it right away. Catch it as soon as you sew a seam. So the 2 things are seam allowance. I know. It's not a fun answer, is it? You don't want to hear that one. Seam allowance and pressing. Because a lot of times you will not press it actually flat and you're pressing like a fold or it's not so that it's smaller. So when you measure it, it's smaller because you haven't really pressed it all out. And then as you go and you have something that's got like a crease, you're then taking that smaller unit and sewing it to another one, which then makes it smaller and smaller and smaller as you go along. It compounds itself. So I have my Solaris fired up here and I am going to show you. We're going to do this. And I thought I had brought my ruler along, which, let me just see, what did I do with it? Okay, I see a different one back there. I will grab it. Yay, okay. I have some squares. 2 squares, they're 2.5 by 2.5. And I have this little test on my website. So you can go out there and find that test. Oh, I need 3 of them, sorry. So you need 3 2.5-inch squares to do the test. And I'm going to come down here. Now I can't angle this particular camera any more than this. I'm not working with 2 cameras today. So I did turn the light off on my machine. So I'm down here at the Solaris. I happen to use an edge foot to do my 1/4 inch seam because that works for me. So we're going to take 2 squares and we're going to sew them together. I'm going to lift the presser foot, put it back down. I'm doing a 1/4 inch seam and we're going to do 1 and then I'm going to take it out of here And we have, get back here where you can see it. So we have 2. Now these 2, here we go. We have to measure them. And when we measure them, I don't want to see how they poof up right now. Let me get my pressing mat. I've got a little wool pressing mat. This is a small one. So here, see how it's poofy? Now you could go and press it with your finger or one of those rollers, but really the best thing is, of course, let me pull this out. The best thing is to press it with the iron. So I have got the little mini Oliso iron, which, by the way, you can get 20% off. I'll put my coupon down there. So there we go. It's pressed flat. That baby is flat. Now we have to measure it. So 2.5 plus 2.5 is 5. They say 2.5 plus 2.5 is, I'm sorry, it's not 5, it's 4.5, because we're going for 6.5. So 2.5 plus 2.5, let me show you. Be good if I had my math brain on when I test this, right? So there we go. So we have both the blocks, because 2 plus 2 equals 4, then 1/4 inch and 1/4 inch, and that's how you do quilt math. So it's 4.5. So as long as it measures 4.5, you're good. Now I may have just down here a little place where it is not whoops, it's the wrong way. It is not reaching. See if you can see that. If I can, it's actually, I must have like scooted a little bit, and it's like a 1/16 of an inch from the edge. Now I can work with that when I get ready to do the next one. So if I'm going to put this one on here and sew it, if I pull it over, I just want to be sure that I'm even, and I let that little bit move off the edge. So now I'm going to sew. Oh, we're very close in here. There we go. So now I'm going to sew the other seam allowance. And when you're coming along here, the one thing you want to do is be sure all the way to the end that you're sewing straight. Because what can happen is sometimes you veer like this. Like you sort of pull it so it's no longer like straight on the line. And then that means that the bottom side is no longer a 1/4 inch seam allowance. It is bigger. All right, so now I've got, okay, we're going to do the math again. Whoop. Let me pull this. Got to pull it away so we can all get in the picture. Okay, so I've got 2, 2, 2, which is what? 2, 4, 6, plus 1/4 inch, plus 1/4 inch. But see how it's poofy? If I were to just measure it now, to sort of put it on here, it doesn't go all the way out. I have got like this whole 1/8 of an inch off, but I didn't press this. If I bring my iron over and give it, a lot of times I'll do this on the seam. I'll just warm it up and then press it over. Got to use my other hand. I am right-handed. It just, everything seems to work better. So now I want to press it flat. Be sure I've got it flat. Stick the iron back there. And now when I measure this, it is 6.5. So that little bobble, even though I pushed it down with the ruler, I was not actually getting super accuracy. I was getting a little bit of an 1/8 of an inch of difference. Too small, 1/8 of an inch too small. If you keep growing an 1/8 of an inch, keep going an 1/8 of an inch too small every single time, your block is going to be much smaller. That's how you end up with a 12-inch block or 11 and 5/8 when you were trying for 12.5. I mean, it's just, you need to press after every seam, press well and flat, and then also check the size. Like on all my free patterns and the sew along patterns, and in most places in my books, when you are sewing 2 units, I tell you what the unit size should be so that you can do this check. And if you're not doing that check, your seam allowance is off. Now, if you're sewing this and you found that your seam allowance was not 1/4 of an inch when you did this check to do to do these 3 pieces together to get 6.5. If it's not 1/4 of an inch, then try moving your needle position, finding a way to, maybe a different foot will work for you. That needle position can be centered for your straight stitch, but you have a different foot, which gives you a different alignment. If you're using the alignments on your foot for accuracy, like I'm using the inside of that edge foot. So let me just show you what the edge foot, I took it off here. This is my baby lock. They come off really easily. So this is the edge foot, and it has this sidebar. And not everybody likes using this because it will run along. You can see how it's got that run. So the one downfall is when I'm chain piecing, sometimes this point hits the loop of the chain, you know, when you're chain piecing. For me, the benefit of it being accurate outweighs the cup, you know. So sometimes I just cut that chain as I go along. I just take my scissors from the side and just snip the little loop where I chain pieced, and then that's all good. So that is my tip for accuracy, that you need to be doing it, checking it all the time. If you go to a new machine, check it. If you change feet, check it. If you have not sewn for a while, do one of these little tests. Just always have like a little project, like a traffic jam or something like that going on, where you can sew a couple of squares together and then check the size. If you're using a different thread for some reason, you might want to check. Most of the time, if you're working with 50-weight thread, it's going to be similar enough. It's not going to affect the seam allowance. But if you're having a problem, check everything. But it's super important if you want accurate blocks. Now, if you don't care if your blocks are accurate, if you're just, you know, that's a whole nother story. Today, we're just talking accuracy. For those of you who want to talk it a different way, we'll do that some other time. All right, so I wanted to do a little tool talk. I told you I would show you different things that I have over at my Nancy's Notions Picks page. It was like, oh, thank you, Nancy's Notions, for inviting me to be a guest designer on their site for a few weeks. So we still have, like, I think ends like the middle of next week, or no, like another 8 or 9 days. So a couple other things I have on there. I have the Olfa, what's it got here? You can see I've got the Olfa Endurance ruler on there. Not ruler, I'm sorry. Rotary cutter blades, the Olfa Endurance rotary cutter blades, and that is what I have in here right now. I changed out all of my rotary cutters with last time when they needed it. I got all endurance blades, and these last much longer. I mean, I've been using them a long time, and I really do feel like they last longer. I think that they're worth it. They're just a little bit more expensive, not much, and the blade lasts longer because, you know, buying blades is like buying tires for your car. It's just no fun. I mean, it's not the fun thing to buy. Fabric, books, those are the fun things to buy. But a good, sharp rotary cutter blade makes your job so much easier. You know that moment, right? When you are working and all of a sudden you're like, wow, you know, this feels like so hard, rotary cutting. And then you change the blade and you're like, why didn't I do that weeks ago? That feeling. I had that when I changed the blade the other day. I'm like, we all do it. We wait too long. We're just like, okay, one more seam, one more cut. I'll get it. So the other thing that I have out on the Nancy's Notions is this the Grab It bobbin holder, the square one, because it holds so many more bobbins. This is the round one, which came out first, and then recently they've come out with the square one, which holds like almost 3 times as many bobbins. So I just think that it's fabulous. These are great too, and they're all pliable. So you can see, like, it opens like this, you know, so you can just pop them out. And I've got them in there by color, so I can change out. Nice little rainbow effect going on. And the round ones are nice too, but these are great. So those are on. I'll link you over to my Nancy's Notions Picks page. It's just fabulous to be asked to pick notions. That's what they asked about. It's pick notions. I also have the Jubilant picked over there because they are Baby Lock family, just like I am. So it's like, yay. All right, let's talk about the projects. What do we have going on? This week, the block Wednesday, the childhood games, is jumping rope. This is the block. I just love doing this one. I think this would be so fun with tons of novelty prints. That's what I could envision in my head, taking each one of these sort of snowball, piece, and using a novelty print in there. You could do like an I Spy for a kid. It'd be so cute. So here are my blocks together. 2 of them. Mine is going to be very colorful. There's all 3 of mine. Da, 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 da. Yeah. And I wanted it very colorful because this is childhood games, I wasn't looking for a serious colorway, I'm looking for fun, for kid, kind of friendly, that kind of a thing. So that's what I did. This week we also, because it was the 15th, just the other day, right after Valentine's Day, right? So I've got the Orifil Designer of the Month interview for February with Kathy Ross from Ireland. I finally got the country right. If you've been watching my fireside chat, so this is her block. So she sent it to me. So I would have it to put into the quilt. I take all the designer's blocks and I assemble them at the end of the year into a layout. We have it quilted, and then it goes to Milan and to Orifil, to their offices, and it goes into their permanent collection. So I'll get this close here so you can see the thread work. Now I did show you on my site. So you see how she uses shading? She's a painter. Kathy Ross is a painter, and she's now using thread to paint. Orifil thread to paint, and she primarily does finished pieces that she does for commission. A lot of animals, and so she was doing a fabulous cow and she did an owl, and you probably, if you looked over there already, you saw the turtle. I mean, it's just incredible. But I don't thread paint. I mean, I probably did it once. So I wanted to show you how to do it with just fusible applique. Now I could go, what I was thinking is that it'd be nice to go and do some embroidery here for the little parts that come out of the flower. See, like that? I could go do some embroidery straight and some French knots. That would be super cute. Have I done it yet? No, I haven't done it yet, but I will. Now her pattern, she sent it like a sketch. So it's the 2 parts, and I have on my website how to, fold. Here, I show you here. So you can fold that under, and then you go over, and I have them apart. Then you pretty much are matching. Whoops, it goes up here. I'm trying to do this in the monitor. It goes along there. You can get the idea. It's getting close. And then I tape it. Then when you're actually tracing each shape, you're doing like the outline, like D, which is right on top. And this is raw edge. Mine is raw edge. So is hers. And so you don't need any turned under edges, no seam allowances. But if there's something bigger, like C there behind, I will trace it down, like under here, because I will tuck it underneath that piece. So I tried to show that on my tutorial I did. If you haven't looked at that yet, it's over there. And then we also, it's a very busy week. Sew-alongs are kicking in. Busy week. What am I looking for? Oh, here it is. The charity quilt along. Da, 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 da. The lily. There it is. So I just love this one. So that was this week. And if you wanted to do the quilt like the Fat Quarter Shops, they have the kits, and a couple people asked me about it again. So the kits come in this box, and it has all the fabric. Let me just pull this down here and show you a minute. So it has a specialty ruler. Not sure why that ruler's in there at the moment, but this ruler is one that's useful for one of the blocks. They do have a paper diagram. It has the whole bunch of fabric. It has a full set of the patterns, and the kit comes with thangles. So if you wanted to try thangles for your triangles, and then of course you won't have to print any of the patterns if you bought the kit. So this is all the fabulous things that the kit has. And if you like the backing with the 2020 on it, you can buy a backing kit too for that. So that's, I've got one back there just sitting on the side. It's a really nice kit. So I hope if you're looking to pick that up, you can. It supports Make-A-Wish. I also showed you the little bee bag, and when I did a live, Facebook Live on Saturday night. That was fun. There was a lot of Q&A, and you had some fun questions, and so that was cool. It worked out really well with my phone. And this is a link I'll send you to. It's a little bee bag. So if you didn't watch the Fireside Chat, then I loaded it up to YouTube. It wasn't live on YouTube. There is a way to do that, but I was just happy I could do it on my phone, not do both. So there's a little bag, and I'd like to remake this one bigger. This is a pretty small one, but it's so cute. They're so fun to do. Really, really fun. Now, if you, I got this packet of fabric in. I had to show it to you because I'm like, this is so cute. Oh, it's all wrapped up. So I was thinking of doing an Oh My Stars. Not sure. I got this for the stars and this for the border, but I'm not sure now. They're like much closer than they looked online. I thought this was a deeper purple, so I might have to get a grunge or grunge dot or something like that. But here is called Lollipop Garden. Have you seen this yet? Look how cute this is. So the fabric here. Let's look. The fabric is so cute. Because I thought I need a spring Fireside Chat. I've got threads. How does that happen? See, there's this purple, the same purple. There's a black and white in there, which I just love adding that black and white. There's a turquoise or an aqua. There's another black and white with a text print, and then there's a lighter aqua, and then green. So, and at the back, there's some yellow. Yellows are orange, peach. It's like a peachy and then a pinky. So I'm thinking this would be really great as a Oh My Stars. But I can't start that until I finish my book because the book has to be done. And I have to tell you, okay, so here's my true confessions. So that even though I design stuff, it doesn't always mean I get it right the first time. So right now I am hopefully done with one piece. And it's not even a very big piece. I've probably remade it 4 times. I've probably changed my mind that I started putting it together and it's like, those colors don't look good. It doesn't look good. I don't like it. And so I would have to redo it, take a section off, and then I had to redraft a whole thing because I had one problem and then I redrafted it. I didn't quite do the redraft right. So when I made it, I was like, it doesn't really look quite right, and realized it wasn't. And so I think I'm on my 5th attempt at this particular piece. So I am very hopeful that that is now done, that I'm done with that one, because I feel done. Over it. Okay, another fun thing I showed you was on my design wall there. Do you see all the hearts? Yeah, let's come back here. I am going to zoom in some. These hearts are from my Splendid Sampler 1 book, where I decided to make all of these heart blocks. Let me see. I think I can grab the bottom. Yes. So I decided that I would make these. This is my first block from the book. When we kicked off the Sew Along, this is the block that everybody started with. And we started on Valentine's Day. It was practically 5 years ago on Valentine's that we came up with the idea. Jane Davidson, my Australian friend, and I came up with the idea to work, could we do a big project together? And then by May of that year, we had decided yes, and I talked to a bunch of people to work with us, and then had to start working on getting everything ready, and then launched it on Valentine's Day, a year after we started talking about it. And then it ran for a year, then we took a break, then we did Splendid Sampler 2, and it ran for a year. So it was great. It was 2 companion 6-inch block samplers that are so fun. And this is my memory, sort of my memory quote from that. I had envisioned doing all 100. And sometimes I think, oh, maybe I should still do that. I have up there my fabric that's on the wall is actually a drink. It's like a cocktail fabric, and it was a Michael Miller from many, many years ago that I have kept because I was sure I was going to find the perfect project. And I really like it with this, and now I'm just sort of debating, do I want to make it bigger? Because if I made the quilt it's a lot. If I made another 5 rows, which wouldn't be quite 100, I could actually get it big enough to go on the other side of the table here on the wall where I right now have glow, where it's, I stand on that side a lot. It could go over there. It's quite busy. It's so standing in front of it's a bit busy. So I don't know. I might just say, get it done, right? So what's your vote? Get it done or not? I have so many projects. Please say get it done. That's what I need. I need everybody to say get it done. Okay, I've checked the time here. I forgot to do my timer. Okay, good. We're good. It's always great when I forget to set the timer because on the camera, the time of how long I've been talking is very tiny. So I want to thank all of you for using my links when you're out looking for things like lollipop charm packs. If you're out looking for those and you use my links, I appreciate it. They help support our small family business, Greg and I. Now, if you're still looking for a journal, I showed a journal, this one. I didn't bring the other one over. I don't know where it is. So I showed this journal the other day that came in, and it's super cute. I'll link to it. Look at these birds. Look at them. Aren't they cute? Gotta have cute stuff. Okay, my friends, we have the giveaway from last week. Before I do that, my chair is squeaking. Can you hear that? I got to get the shipping department to oil the chair. So before I end, we had a question from during the live that I wasn't able to get to because the lives I'm not doing real long. It's like Q&A. So for the live Q&A, I asked for some questions in advance. And then while I was live with all of you, people were asking questions. So we were chatting and talking back and forth. But I had one question that was submitted a little earlier, and I was zoomed in there. So I still want to answer it. So Brenda asked, she goes, when she's choosing fabric for a block, sometimes due to her fabric choices, her block design will look different than the pattern intended it to look. So I totally know what you mean. Like sometimes the way the light and the darks play against each other, you don't get the image to appear the same way. So here's some tips you can do for that. One is to take the original block somehow, like if it's in a book or and take a picture of it. If it's online and you can get a picture of the original, particularly just one block is helpful. Take a picture and turn it into black and white. Most of your cameras can do the black and white. You can just say, show it to me in black and white. And then take your fabrics that you're going to do and do a mock-up. And it's worth wasting some fabric to do a mock-up. You don't have to sew it. Just cut them to size and lay them all next to each other. Then take a picture. And look at it for where the lights and the darks are. And see if your placements are similar. Because that's what often will give the illusions. Where the dark is placed, if you get dark in a different spot, it will change the way the block interacts with each other. And often what you might have to do is just always make a block, like do the mock-up. You don't have to sew it, just mock it up. You'll be able to see, take a picture of it, look at it on your camera because it gives you some distance, and then you're not sort of seeing it where you filter it differently in your eye, I think, when you take a picture with your camera because you've got that whole distance. It's like having a design wall. Whereas if you're right on top of it, you see it, when you see it close, it's a lot different. So that's my tip, Brenda. I hope that helps. Now my giveaway from last week was all pink. Pink, 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 pink. So we had fabric and pink and red fabric and scissors and all kinds of cute stuff. And this will go out, this goodie bag will go out to Linda. Linda who said, Linda Malchoy. You'll know, I'm going to email you, Linda. She said she loves jelly rolls. Last week was like, what pre-cut have you used and what size maybe have you not used, whichever you want to answer, or both. She said she loves jelly rolls, but she's never used a mini charm. So that's Linda. And she'll get this bag. Next week we'll have a different goodie bag. Not this week. We'll take a break this week from goodie bags and we'll do one next week. I'll get one together. So this has been so much fun. If you are not on Facebook at my community, I invite you to come over and join me over there. If you are watching this but have yet to subscribe, just click subscribe, click the bell, and you always get a notice when there's a new show. So I'm Pat Sloan. I love you. Thank you for being here. See you online.